Big 8 tournament champion.
93.7 The Ticket veteran and Bill Callahan fan club president, Jake Bakoven.
I love Billy Steve.
Coming at you live from the Coppel Chevrolet GMC studios in the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Sponsored by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. This is On the Block with Strick and Bob. Hold up.
It is a rainy day outside, so it's time to get cozy, maybe sit next to the fireplace and listen to On the Block here on a Tuesday afternoon. I'm Jake Bachman. He is the Husker Hall of Famer, longtime NBA vet Eric Strickland, and we're back on a Tuesday to bring you the latest in the sports news. And last time that myself and Strick were talking to each other, the Nebraska program was completely different. The balloons were being set to be released. Marcus Washington wasn't yet on the Husker football team, so plenty to talk about today. Lat Mayen was maybe still on the Husker basketball team, so a lot of different changes going on throughout the day, so we'll dive into a lot of that stuff. We also have Sean Callahan of Husker Online set to join us at 5:25, so we'll have Hitting the Hardwood at 4:25, where we'll talk about the Celtics blowing out the Heat last night. That series has been nothing but blowouts. Juwan Howard turns down the Lakers, so that'll be kind of something interesting to dive into as well. Strick, I want to start with balloons, though. I don't know. When you were on campus going as a student at Nebraska, obviously you've been to the football games. Did you ever, was the balloon release ever something that you held near and dear to your heart, or was it kind of something that you just kind of was there?
I mean, it was part of the tradition, and it was something that you would look forward to. You could see the angst on some of the fans if the touchdowns didn't happen earlier, and they were just ready and raring to unload the balloons. But yeah, so I think you saw it from that standpoint. But speaking honestly, I kind of figured that there would probably come a time when this probably would end. I know, especially now with so much activism and social justice and warriors and PETA and just all these different areas. And listen, I'm not knocking those that have those passions in those specific areas, and some of it is understandable. At the same time, I just kind of figured it would be a time when that would happen. I mean, there's a lot of balloons going in the air. You have planes. This is just me thinking, just as a thinker, just a person that just is thinking outside of the box of things. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, yeah, it's a matter of time. Then you talk about where do they land? Where do they land when they're all finished flying? You know what I mean? And so I figured that would be a time that would happen.
Some of them even come in the studio here, so we got some red balloons floating by here. There's a lot of red balloons that are in the closet that maybe we can pass out before the game.
Reminisce, baby. Yeah, reminisce.
Right. It can. I mean, and maybe in that way it can still be, for nostalgic purposes, the red balloons before game days or something like that. Make something out of it. And I'm interested to see. I know the athletic department is kind of looking into what they should do to kind of replace that, because it is cool. And I agree with you. I mean, I think that its days were numbered. It's still kind of odd to an outsider if they come in and be like, yeah, when our team scores, we litter, and we, that's how we celebrate. It's like, well, that's kind of weird. But for modern day, that's basically breaking it down. But it was very cool, especially as a kid. I think it's definitely done more for the kids, and it's kind of exciting.
Yeah,
cool
and it looks sweet. I mean, it looks cool. It looks awesome. I mean, especially when they show the camera views, the wide angle camera views, the high angle camera views. Now I love that they use the little flying crafts now.
Oh yeah.
What are they? Yeah, I mean, they do all of these wonderful things now with the technology. You get those sweet views, and it's a nice thing. I mean, because Colorado has the buff. People shoot cannons. Some people do push-ups.
Push-ups, yeah.
So a lot of people have traditions, and that just happened to be ours. And it's just one of those unfortunate things. I mean, I commend them for saying, it is part of the war situation. I mean,
It's helium, yeah.
Helium is low out there right now, and so basically, let's be honest about that part. That's a financial thing. Because it's supply and demand. It doesn't matter whether it be in the housing market, whether it be in the car market, whether it be computer chips. Whenever the supply and demand is low, the price goes up. And so you got to think as an athletic director or as somebody that's working in those financial services areas in the university, that type of cost continuously for, however many games they play at home, right? Is that a cost that you're willing to take for the tradition? It's something to think about.
Strick, would you be willing? There's a kind of debate going on earlier today. Would you be willing to, even if it's just for the one final time, is filling Lil Red up with helium and letting him go, and then never sing Lil Red again? Some people want to sacrifice Lil Red because they scare him.
Sacrifice Lil Red. I actually like Lil Red. I like Lil Red. I want him around for a little while. I used to thought it was the most funny things to watch him run around in the basketball gym. And do his little flex moves that he used to do and go up to people, walk by people like he was just walking and then stop and turn and face them real quick. I used to love that, man. I thought he was hilarious. So don't sacrifice Little Red. Keep him.
All right, we'll put you on the side of not sacrificing Little Red. There seems to be a growing contingent. Maybe it's a small vocal fan base, but that's starting to turn on Little Red because of the lack of success. I think it might have to do something with Little Red, and if you sacrifice him, maybe that will make things better. I don't think that's how it works, but at least some kind of onto it that way.
Oh, that's hilarious.
But I think it is too. It is interesting what the athletic department's going to do. I mean, we've seen the light show. Fireworks obviously are kind of a big thing there. But what was special about the balloon release is that you were part of it as a fan. Like it was, something you could be active in celebrating. And so I don't know what they can necessarily turn to. And there's again been all sorts of ideas. I as far as easily cheap, something you can kind of hand out as the university. I don't know if they're going to be able to kind of do something like that. I think for a lot of people, it's kind of the terrible towels that you see in Pittsburgh or, just all across the nation. That could be the next thing because it's cheap, easy.
I think you find a song, right, Bach?
Yeah, you can do that.
Find a song and just get into a rowdy mini sectional mosh pit. Oh, but then that's lawsuits. Oh, well, shoot, that don't work. That would be crazy. Somebody's doing a mosh pit in their section. They're jumping around, and then everybody's going nuts, and then somebody slips and falls, and then all of a sudden, oh, shoot, here we go.
Yeah. So that's what I'm thinking about. Like Bipolar kind of threw out there on the Starter Heyman text line 402-464-5685. You guys are welcome to chime in at any time. Bipolar says, how during basketball games the student section throws confetti after the first bucket. Do that, but the whole football stadium. Something like that. That's a lot of cleanup. Yeah. But that's what I'm kind of thinking too with the students is maybe like red smoke or kind of it just disintegrates into the air. Maybe something like that.
Well, you could hand out those like you're saying. What are those little things? Those little poppers. And then everybody kind of gets a little mini popper and then it just the red confetti with all types of stuff in it just goes everywhere. Maybe you could do something like that. And maybe it's not as costly, but it's going to be costly in that cleanup, like you said. Yeah, the janitors are not going to be happy. They're not going to like you. The cleanup crew is going to be like, this is extra 4 hours that I just could have just cleaned up some hot dogs and some cups, and now I got to clean up this confetti.
Yeah, sacrifices have to be made. Somebody has to get some extra hours. Look at it as extra hours on your paycheck. That'll be good there. Jory says, I think a bunch of cannons followed by the purge siren. That'd be cool. I don't mind that. I kind of like that. I'm a big fan of horror movies, so something like that would be kind of cool. Obviously kind of transitioning to what it's going to be is pretty interesting. Bubba says, I used to think Strickland was a pretty cool guy. Then I found out he likes Little Red, and that kind of ruined it for me. So I guess you lost the stand there. Because there are people just against
everybody hates Little Red. That's freaking crazy. Look, I had a great experience with Little Red. Little Red was, look, I'm going to be real. So there was a song out, right? By Prince called Little Red Corvette. So whenever I think about Little Red, that song would kind of pop into my head, and I like that Prince song. So I like Little Red.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's good for the kids. The adults necessarily don't like the balloon guy, but
And don't get it twisted. Don't think Prince was talking about a Corvette either. Let fans out there know, sir. He was talking about a woman. You gotta listen. See, like when you get older, Boxster, when you get older, and there's songs you used to listen to, right? That like for example, Rick James had a sweet song called Mary Jane, and I love that Mary Jane.
That's about a girl, right?
Forever, you thought it was about a girl. No, it was about Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of songs out there that I used to listen to then, because you reminisce. I mean, I love 80s, I love 90s, like I love like Toto, I love like the Eagles, I love like like Nirvana, I love like all hip hop in the 90s, I love all R&B of the 80s and 90s. Listen, so when you go back and have those reminiscent days, because Sirius XM radio now, you can just kind of plug into a station and just really tap in on and reminisce. And I started listening to some of the lyrics. And I was like, ooh.
Did you
ever
do you ever get some of the lyrics wrong and then like just for like 10 years sing along with it, and then you find out
wrong.
Yeah.
Fact.
That kind of ruins it for you a little bit.
Ruins it. You're like singing the wrong song forever. I used to correct my mom and ex-wife and stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Like, that's not what he's saying.
Yeah. Yeah, there's even that song I made a couple years ago now about somebody singing the song wrong. So I mean that's part of everybody's experience, I suppose. Crowbait chimes in and says he loves Little Red. So not everybody is ready to sacrifice Little Red, but some people have turned on him in hopes for more wins, I suppose.
Team Little Red, we should put that on the website or something where we have a Little Red vote, and get Little Red support. We should probably have
dual T-shirts, for those that oppose Little Red and those that support him. I think that could be something.
I feel bad for Little Red. Poor Little Red. He's going to be walking around now. He's not going to know who's going to try to deflate him, or especially now you've got all these things out there, defunding and deflating and all these different types of things that's going on out there in the world. And now Little Red's got to worry about being deflated. Like somebody's going to deflate him. That's crazy.
Well, it's kind of funny too, because even the people that oppose the, Little Red at this point, if an opponent, deflated him, then they'd be furious. It's like, I can punch my brother, but don't punch my brother.
Yeah, exactly. That's just the given. That always has to be the case. Like I can tease my mom, but you can't talk about my mom. Like you can't do mother jokes against my mom. I can. You can't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Stuff
gotta
like
be
that,
protected. Also, again, the other big news from the other day, I suppose we'll run through the ones real quick, as Nebraska added Marcus Washington from the portal. Seems to be, he's got chemistry with Casey Thompson, and it's not necessarily
you heard it on the block.
Yeah, that's right.
I just need to let you know that East Strick was on top of it in Boxster. You heard it on the block right here. We told you yesterday at 6:00 that it was going down.
There were a lot of rumors going around, different like Twitter handles with 324 followers saying that it was happening. So it was really hard to be like, there's enough smoke there. It seemed like there was a fire, but it wasn't anybody. You wait for himself to do it. So I guess he told a few people, and they told a few people.
But see the difference about on the block and any place else, to include your ESPNs and all that stuff across the country. Let me tell you what's different about the block. We have the Minority Report. If you've seen the movie Minority Report, you would understand what we're saying. We get the information before the information happens on the block.
There you go. Yeah. What did happen in that movie? And then he has to like go back and because there's like
he ended up like being.
They knew that he was going to murder.
Yeah, and then so he had to kind of change and mess up the Minority Report. So he ends up finding one of the cogs, and it kind of helped him to make it through, because otherwise he wouldn't have made it. He would have been caught back in the penitentiary.
Yeah, that's a cool movie. You should go watch it.
I thought it was pretty cool. You should. It's actually a pretty dope movie.
And as far as Husker basketball goes, too, it's now official. Let Mayen has played some pro ball in Australia. The expectation, as we've been talking about for months here, is that Let Mayen was going to go. He's got a Nebraska basketball T-shirt on there.
We knew that man was ghost.
Yeah,
Great place for him to go. Australian basketball leagues are pretty solid. A lot of college players, would go over there prior to the G League and the Ignite and all the stuff that they now have there that allows the younger players. And the NBA had to do that. Kudos to Rod Strickland, who was, I used to talk to him in the summer at the summer league and regularly, and he was letting me know in on the scoop that they were looking to kind of pay some of the players to give them enough money to fight that, European and international high, breaking away that they were getting. And so kudos to him for putting that together. It seems to be working. It seems some of the stuff that I'm hearing coming out of the combine that there's a few Ignite players that are really raising their stock. That's the danger about just assessing. There's European players now that is coming out that are probably wasn't on the radar, as much because you probably got tidbits of them, pieces of them, what they could do, got a little bit of film on there, but then they get over here and they start working against some, the competition, and they start showing and proving that, I can make it happen. Similar to Luka Doncic, a lot of people thought well of him. They thought he was too young, but at the end of the day, you can understand some of those translations if you can see some of the qualities of their game that allows them to be able to translate from, those systems to another. One of the other things about that translation that's probably going to change a little bit now is that they play a lot more physical over there than what you think. They allow a lot more chucking, a lot more bodies, a lot. So even though they're young, they start some of those professionals at 15, 16 years old. They're playing professional. Oh, yeah. They're playing against men. And that's the one thing I think, Bach, that I had an advantage in that a lot of people may not know about is my dad, and I shout out to Matthew Strickland. My dad was just a forward thinker. He thought he could have been transferred out. He was thinking about, the next level, the next step. I probably wouldn't even been in Nebraska. Being that I'm from Auburn area, I'm literally right from Opelika, like Auburn. I used to watch Bo Jackson. I used to watch Barkley, all them guys when I was a young kid. Nice. But my dad used to take me to the base gym. And I mean, I'm 11, 12 years old, but remember, I'm a big kid. I mean, ninth grade, I was 6'2", 180, 185. So I was always a big kid, but he would take me in there and he would let them grown men beat on me and be physical, and I'd have to take it and I'd have to give it. And that's what made me the kind of the player that I was as far as basketball is concerned. My dad thought that way, and that's what they're getting in the European game is there a lot of those young men are getting a chance not play AAU. They're 16, 17 playing AAU, touch fouls, real easy, just open flow. Those kids are learning skill sets at those ages over there overseas.
That's interesting because, and then it has that kind of, it's kind of like the running backs, I guess, going off to the NFL is that, they're a little bit more worn for their age than what you would think they would be. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, they can translate a lot quicker. So I'm interested to see if that kind of has that effect over the years. And I'll be looking forward to that. So that's interesting. We'll take a quick break here as we have to do to get our commercials in. But when we come back, we'll be joined. Actually, we're going to go to Hitting the Hardwood. Talk about the Celtics blow out the Heat last night. That series has been nothing but blowouts and injuries. So we'll talk about that. Also, Juwan Howard has turned down the Lakers' even interest. Who should be interested in that Lakers job? Would there be anybody? We'll talk about that sort of stuff coming up next on Hitting the Hardwood here on the block at 93.7 The Ticket.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning now in our new time. We're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Cloudy, cool, and damp conditions expected here for your Tuesday. We'll top out only at around 55. Rain expected to move in by late this morning and last through much of the afternoon. Rain chances will continue tonight with a low of 52. We will continue with rain chances tomorrow and only a high of 57. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
You know you want that smoky, tangy, sweet, and spicy sauced and tossed Wingstop. But you just brought a haul of groceries home from the store. It's cool. No one expects you to shop and cook in the same day. So let the flavor experts at Wingstop hook you up with mouth-watering wings, crispy tenders and thighs, fries and sides delivered to your door. You can always cook tomorrow. That's why the fridge was invented. Get it delivered at wingstop.com.
Order online now from the new Wingstop located at 5001 O Street.
Hey, Steve. Welcome to Great Clips.
Great Clips asks, what's the difference between good and great?
Come on back and have a seat.
Good asks you what haircut you'd like.
I have all your details from last time. Would you like the same haircut today?
Great already knows. With Clip Notes, we save your haircut details so you can get the same thing as last time, every time. Download our online check-in app today. Great Clips. It's gonna be great.
From selling a home to even building one, you're doing a lot and need a lender who can help you do it. Like Jennifer Peters of Security First Bank.
There are a lot of ways we can work to find the best fit for your situation. Let me help you explore your options.
Mortgage lending from Security First Bank. We're the bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 505011 and 616194.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now they've raised wages again and they're hiring for production operators at $22.07 per hour and other select jobs starting at $23.77 per hour, with wages growing up to $29.71 per hour. Continental also has salaried jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates. To learn more or to apply, go to continental-jobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
At first, I was really nervous and intimidated to buy a ring. I wasn't sure what I was getting into.
My experience at Starter Heyman was very easy. I felt like I walked out of Starter Heyman with the ring that was going to make her go wow and say yes.
I love my ring. It is so beautiful.
I absolutely love my ring. I get compliments on it all the time. I always tell them Starter Heyman.
Yeah, we would definitely recommend Starter Heyman.
Yeah, it was great.
We're definitely coming back.
Sure. Sauter Heyman Jewelers, Lincoln and Grand Island. SauterHeyman.com.
There's nothing quite like the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese Beef. The Mercado offers unique ingredients you can't find anywhere else, open every day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The full-service butcher shop and retail store is wonderful for meat lovers with their exclusive certified Piedmontese beef and assorted sausages, plus other quality meats, including pork, chicken, and a wide range of the freshest seafood. Plus, every Friday from 11 to 2, the Mercado serves up the best lunch in town on their Friday Feast menu. Stop in at the Mercado today at 84th and Havelock or visit their website at cpmercado.com to see current deals.
People always ask, what are Jake and Sip like when they're off the air? Well, the answer probably won't surprise you.
Hey, Jake, your Honda's looking a little dirty.
Says the guy whose license plate is barely visible.
I mean, do you even care about that thing anymore?
It gets a little uncomfortable. Now, that's when I jump in.
Hey, whoa. Mark, did you get a new car?
Nope, just took my car down to Nebraska Auto Detail. Joe and the staff made the outside and the inside look amazing. Maybe you guys need to go. Okay, wise guy.
Settle down, Jake.
Call Nebraska Auto Detail today at 402-601-5086.
Your home should not be a zoo to unwelcomed animals. Let the experts at Bats to Rats take care of those problems. Dane has been a leader in wildlife and pest management and prevention in Lincoln and the surrounding area for 15 years. He can help you get rid of bats, rodents, and anything else. Whether it's residential or commercial buildings, schools, apartments, or churches, they're always a phone call away. Call today at 402-310-0904 or visit batstoRats.com. Bats to Rats Wildlife Control and Prevention.
Back to On the Block with Strick and Bach on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back on the block here on 93.7 The Ticket. We're hanging out on a Tuesday, and a fun Tuesday as we have Shootout with Strick coming up next here. in the next segment. Also, Sean Callahan of Husker Online will, there's a lot going on in Husker sports, so we'll catch up with him. One of the best sources to kind of get through the best knowledge there for that. So we're looking forward to that. But for now, we're ready to hit the hardwood. There's plenty to go through about the NBA. Unfortunately, the conference finals, not quite as exciting as the previous playoffs, I suppose. Although the playoffs have been kind of chalky to begin with. So it's kind of interesting how the NBA playoffs have gone this year. I saw somebody tweet out, just kind of the NFL playoffs and how good every one of those games was, and say, that's why we can't take these things for granted, because the NFL playoffs last year was just awesome. Every game was like down to the last minute and all that stuff. And so far, this obviously the Warriors were blown out once by the Grizzlies, and now they're kind of returning the favor here on the Mavs more often than not. In the Heat and Celtics can't decide which team's better, but when whoever's night it is that team tonight, because they are going off. The Celtics do that once again to the Heat last night. No Tyler Hero, but Victor Oladipo stepped up kind of as that scoring role off the bench. What happened to the Heat last night? Why was there another blowout in this series, Strick?
I mean, I think it goes back to, well, there's a few things in this specific. Boston is now 5-0 in the postseason following a loss. So I knew they were going to come out. They're at home. The atmosphere is always great. You've got to figure that Tatum in his maturity has shown just great abilities to bounce back from bad games. I mean, it's happened throughout the multiple series that they played. And so for him to come out and get 31 in this game, he jumped out to a 26-4 lead early, and they handled business throughout. It was never really close. This is a game that's just tough to do. It's tough to bury yourself that early. You want to just try to minimize runs, even if they try to get out to a next level run on it, because over the first 12 minutes of that first quarter, they were down basically 39-18. You can get back in it. You got to chip away. But when you're shooting as bad as they shot that night, that's just tough to get back. Here's why. Jimmy Butler returns. I don't know if it was the injury. I don't know what the situation is with him, but he only had 6 points. Kyle Lowry, who also is coming back, could be fatigue because he's been out so long. Sometimes that can kind of weigh on you, having such a short turnaround. And he only had 3 points. PJ Tucker, I think, also has been battling it. It just seems to be the injured, the ambulance squad basically on both sides of the ball with these teams. Yeah. But PJ Tucker ends up with no points. Max Struss, who has been playing very well, he ends up with no points. And Bam Adebayo, who just went nuts, with over 30 the last game, and he ends up with only 9 points. So they had a combined shooting of 7 for 36. When that's your starting lineup, you can understand that, maybe a few of them just had a bad night or whatever the case may be. And then you have some step up like Oladipo did, and you're able to kind of stay in the game. But 7 for 36 combined between their starters, that's not going to get it done. And I think Eric Spoelstra, acknowledged that, and he just felt they got outplayed that night, and it happens. It's part of the game. 2-2, so it's still a good series.
Yeah, 18 total points from the starting team last night and of the Miami Heat, and I think it was like just watching the game, it took them forever. Like we talk about it being infectious for you once you start hitting threes, and then your teammates start hitting threes, and you got confidence in your next shot. It's the complete opposite for Miami last night. They couldn't even hit both their free throws when they went to the line. They had like 1 point with maybe like 5 or 6 minutes left in the first quarter. I mean, it took forever for them to get going. And that's just like, I'm going to be, obviously like almost pretty nervous. Usually the first, even if you get a pretty good lead in the NBA, especially nowadays, hit a couple threes, you'll be right back in the game. But this series, I'm going to be pretty nervous if the Celtics fall behind as a Celtics fan or if I'm a Heat fan, whatever. If one team falls behind in the first quarter, because that's just, it's been death to them so far in this series. Like you said, Tatum kind of bounced back. Jaylen Brown didn't have his best game, but that can kind of sometimes be hidden in a win. Marcus Smart didn't play. Robert Williams was back. And was that the difference for Bam Adebayo, is that Robert Williams being back? Because Bam, a lot of his game revolves around confidence, because we saw in their bubble run, he was like a key factor. He was like by far their second best player. And they would go to him often. And now we saw that in game 3, but then, just to take 5 shots last night, they need more out of it.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I don't know if it was, Williams, who actually, Robert Williams III, who actually was that deciding factor. I mean, he really he didn't even get 20 minutes in the game, but maybe it was a 20 solid, right? Horford is still a very good defender. I think they maybe just didn't go to him, or he just wasn't as aggressive. I think I found it pretty interesting with Struss, Max Struss struggling a little bit. His minutes drop, but then Duncan Robinson fills in the void, who hasn't been playing throughout all these series, comes in and has a solid game for them. But you saw a really, really aggressive Jason Tatum in this game. He was attacking, because normally throughout this series, Boston's been shooting quite well from the 3, but they didn't shoot very well from the 2 or the 3. 23%, 24% from 3, and not even 40% from 2. But Jason Tatum had 14 for 16, 88% from the free throw line. So he was extremely aggressive, and that doesn't allow you as a team to get back into games when you're the games, the flow, all of that is being stopped when you're going to the free throw line. So even though they shot, it was a very strong defensive game, even though both teams shot under 40%. Just seemed that they shot the 3 a little bit better in Miami, but it's just not enough, especially when you're shooting 57% from the free throw line. And the guy that you're playing against shoots more free throws than you by himself. That shows there's a lack of aggression.
Yeah, and Jimmy Butler too. I mean, because we pile on I guess Jason Tatum for kind of trying to get to that superstar level and then having a 10-point game. Obviously, there could be some injuries things going into this with Jimmy Butler, but this is consistent with him too. Is that this is kind of why he's maybe not level A as far as superstars in the NBA, is that he has these performances for now and then, and it's almost more understandable. He just wasn't aggressive though, and I think ultimately put up 14 shots. So part of it was, he just wasn't feeling himself that night. But, they're not going to be doing too well if he's not going off. All that being said, they did win the game in the third game 3 without him, but they built up the big lead with him. So, you just need your stars to play.
The one thing also to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Bach. It was some hesitation. I think the one thing also to watch is Jaylen Brown, who took more shots than Jason Tatum, who was more effective, just didn't play to his level. How is he going to rebound? So you definitely, when you hit the road again on this next trip, you're going to want those 2 clicking on cylinders. You don't want to be on the road and have one of your top guys down and not playing well, or you're going to need a Horford to step up, or you're going to need someone, Pritchard or somebody, to definitely fill in, or Marcus Smart. But they need to, when you hit the road, you want to have your best players playing their best ball, no doubt.
Yeah, and it's been all postseason here for Boston, where different guys are stepping up on different nights. Derek White scored the first 9 points of the game, stepping in for Marcus Smart last night. So can they get kind of that continuing moving forward?
Yeah.
We'll just see who's healthy in this series. It's hard to really predict. Is Tyler Hero going to be back? Robert Williams is always going to be on minutes restriction. Is Marcus Smart going to be back? Obviously tied up, 3 games left, 2 of them in Miami. Do you favor the Heat because of that home court advantage? Or do you think Boston, when they get going, is the most complete team? That's why a lot of people still feel that way, but they seem to not really turn it on until they really need to.
I still think Boston is going to win this series. I think to not have Tyler Heroes can hurt them. I think Jimmy Butler, depending on what his injury situation is, and not having Tyler Hero could hurt them. I just think overall Boston, on both sides of the ball, defensively, and have more offensive power to be able to pull this series out. So I could see them clipping them on this game. I still think it could probably go 7. But if they go back to Boston, if I'm Boston, I'm leaving everything on the line. I'm dying on the court if I have to make sure this does not go back to Miami.
Yeah, for Game 7. Also, tonight is Game 4 for Dallas and Golden State. Has not been a competitive series. It looks like Luka's help isn't helping him as much, for one thing, and maybe it's just not quite enough for a loaded Warriors squad. Is there any way that they can get the win tonight and push this thing forward, or do you think this series is all but done? I saw a quote from Luka the other day about talking about how he's 23 and still learning, and you just kind of go, well, geez, that's
a
like
defeatist. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like a defeatist. That's not a normal statement that he would normally have. But if my pride would be kicking in like no other in that situation, that you don't ever want to get swept in the conference finals. It is one of the worst feelings to have. I think we lost in 6 when I got there in Boston. You just still want to be able to put forth the effort. The problem with that is you definitely don't want to do it at home. You know what I mean? You got a home game. The crowd's going to be up for you. I understand when you look at this statistic, no team has ever overcome a 3-0 deficit to win an NBA playoff. I think that kind of can creep into your mind, but still, you've got to look at it individually as each game. Take one game at a time, and you just never know what can happen. I just think that there's just too much power over there right now. I've seen Golden State kind of just coast, and they'll give away a game, and then they'll come back and blow the doors off of you. We saw that in Memphis, but I think this series, if I'm Steve Kerr, I'd want to be sitting at home watching Boston and Miami beat themselves up, bro. That's how I would really just want to just get this done, go back home, relax, and then see who comes out of it and see who's got to come to me or where I got to go.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of funny too, because as you kind of follow what people are saying, Reggie Bullock said something about like, they're not gonna lose again. Obviously they can't. So, he's just trying to toe the company line there. And you're like, dude, you were 0 of 10 last game. Like it's up to you. You need to hit those open shots. So I guess
too.
Yeah. And it's been that way. They've basically just like frozen up. Bertans and Maxi Kleber don't have, they're tall, they have length, they can provide that sort of thing, and that's why they can play. But they're stretch 4 and 5s that aren't shooting because they're not confident right now. I mean, they're completely out of their game. So it's just Dinwiddie and Brunson always are Dinwiddie, not always, but more often than not are there. But they are up and down. They're not your A-level players. So I still kind of see that team as like Luka needs a third guy, and then everybody else in the rotation, just if they drop down what is expected from them, they'd be there. They just need that next guy. And so when they got rid of Porzingis, Dinwiddie's not quite that star power, but he'd be a good third, I think. And he's been well off the bench, but we'll kind of see how that goes if they can get that through tonight. The other thing to make fun of is the Lakers, because I like to make fun of the Lakers.
They're in trouble.
They're in a lot of temper. Juwan Howard, for us Big Ten fans, are happy to see him. Although if he gets another fight with another coach, I don't know how long he'll stay there in Ann Arbor. But in any case, he's turning down interest. This isn't even an interview. He doesn't want to be in the mix for the Lakers job. It's very weird whenever this job comes open, because it's like, man, that's got to be like, I don't like the Lakers, but most people, in the basketball world, that's like the peak job. That's like as good a job as you can get. But situationally, over the last several years, and they've turned over a lot of different coaches since Phil Jackson, it's not a great job, and it doesn't look like it again. So Juwan Howard turns it down. I think just about everybody that, because I've seen some of the other finalists, they're talking about Terry Stotts. That's Frank Vogel again. You're not going to have a lot of patience with him. Darvin Ham maybe as a first-time head coach could kind of ride through it, and you kind of see what happens there, and he looks like the favorite at this point. But they just don't have any draft capital moving forward. It looks like teams want
to 2028.
Yeah,
to 2028.
And teams that are going to take on Russell Westbrook, are reportedly, the report is they want a first-round draft pick. So whatever,
first-round pick.
They're digging themselves deeper there. What do you do? I mean, you almost have to trade LeBron because or what if he decides to leave you with AD there, who doesn't, not a lot of cap space, not a lot of, so it's just a mess. And I don't see any big-time coaching.
The cycle of his moves.
I think
the cycle of
LeBron's
moves, you could bank on that.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting how the Lakers thing has completely turned around.
But here's what I will say. But we're getting a delay, but listen, we're
Yeah.
going to work through it. But here's what I will say. Juwan Howard, like this coaching opportunity is like you're digging your own grave, because these guys are situationally, as you said, are in trouble. Not just for a few years, but for a lot of years, right? So you're going to need guys that are going to be able to handle those different egos and those different mentalities in that room. Then you're going to have to find some veteran that'll be able or want to take, that are solid, that will want to take the minimum to go into what everybody and all the pundits have been saying is a cesspool. Then you've got to get young talent to say, I want to stay here because I just want to be able to play in this type of scenario. You got to have all that happen. And I just don't see it. And so if I'm Juwan, I'm saying, no way. That would literally probably kill yourself. Now, they threw out a few names. Darvin Ham, I think, could be a solid guy. He's been there in the LA area before, so I'm sure he's familiar. But the one that I think they threw out that would be interesting and someone who would take that job and I think would be good in it is probably Sam Cassell.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think they've interviewed him. I don't think he's in there in the running, but someone like him who would get their respect, who has won championships, who has the gift of gab and the ability to communicate. I think Sam Cassell would be a type that they would need if they're going to try to make this work.
I like what you're saying about the egos there, because that's absolutely what you're going to have to hold there. If somebody doesn't have an ego before they're on the Lakers, they can get one pretty quickly out there in La La Land too. So it's not just the high, the LeBron and Russell and all those, which it's hard enough. I mean, Russell Westbrook and his battle with Frank Vogel was almost just silly because they could never get on the same page. So that's just part of the deal. How about this? In news of us getting older, Louisville has hired Milt Wagner, a 1986 NBA draft pick and a grandfather of a former Louisville star. Actually, they're trying to recruit the number one basketball recruit, DJ Wagner.
DeJuan Wagner, yeah.
DeJuan Wagner is the middle ground here. So Milt Wagner is DeJuan Wagner's son. DeJuan Wagner's Milt Wagner is DeJuan Wagner's father. DeJuan Wagner's son is DJ Wagner, the number one recruit coming up here. And so Louisville's kind of get out in front of it because they got a big battle with Kentucky to probably try to get him, or it kind of depends on who it is. But hire the grandpa, maybe you got a chance there. But I was just kind of surprised to see DeJuan Wagner's son is already moving up the ranks. You probably played with DeJuan for a few years. His NBA career was cut short, but I just did not expect to see that. And then the other thing is like, okay, they said a grandpa, they hired the grandpa. So I'm thinking, okay, he must have played a long, long time ago. 1986. That doesn't feel like that long ago. So it's like, man, I'm just getting older here.
Yeah, that was just before me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, listen, those are the kind of moves that I think colleges are smart to make. You know what I mean? I mean, don't think we didn't try to do it with Coach Raiola.
Yeah, that looks like there might be.
We didn't try to do it, and you never know. It still is. Those communications. He goes and he doesn't feel it, the vibe wherever he may go or may choose, and then you've always got that little, card in your pocket to say, hey, we might be able to drag you over here at some point. Never know.
Yeah. Not a bad move, as long as he kind of knows what he's doing, and he's played in the NBA. He's got a son that has too, so he probably kind of knows what he's doing in that role. But we'll kind of see how that turns around. Sometimes I kind of wonder sometimes if those roles are even real. It's just like, here, come be a brand ambassador, which means we'll just give you tickets and come sit at the game or something, So who really knows? But that's kind of funny. Let's get into Shootout with Strick coming up next here. Call the Honda of Lincoln hotline right now, 402-464-5685. The first to do so It's a competitive call. The first to do so will have a chance on Shootout with Strick today. I don't know if we're doing balloon trivia or what we're doing, but some sort of trivia coming up. You don't have to be an expert. It's either or questions, and then the final question, the money ball, is opening, and it's worth 2 points. But you should usually be able to throw a guess out there right before the buzzer rings. So give us a call, 402-464-5685. First one to do so will get in line to play Shootout with Strick coming up next here on the block on 93.7 The Ticket.
Hey, Steve. Welcome to Great Clips.
Great Clips asks, what's the difference between good and great?
Come on back and have a seat.
Good asks you what haircut you'd like.
I have all your details from last time. Would you like the same haircut today?
Great already knows. With Clip Notes, we save your haircut details so you can get the same thing as last time, every time. Download our online check-in app today. Great Clips. It's gonna be great.
Let's do it. Let's get away. Let's go outside, cast a line, and reel in good times with our family and friends. Get a little peace, quiet, and relaxation, and make some memories that will last a lifetime. Let's do it. Let's Fish Nebraska. Start planning your fishing trip today at letsfishnebraska.com. Sponsored by Nebraska Game and Parks. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
If your home water doesn't taste right, look right, or smell right, just call Bryant for the solution to your water problem. Call 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and it's been a great start here to the year as 2022 new inventory continues to roll in. Our pre-owned lot remains full, and we are selling at a record pace. I was just down at Koppel talking about a new order for myself, and they let me know I can actually start ordering a 2023 here later this spring. So stop on in to get your new 2022, your pre-owned vehicle, or maybe talk about ordering here for 2023. Check them out online at koppelcars.com. You'll be glad you did.
93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Sponsored by Security First Bank. A relationship you can count on.
Cloudy, cool, and damp conditions expected here for your Tuesday. Will top out only at around 55. Rain expected to move in by late this morning and last through much of the afternoon. Rain chances will continue tonight with a low of 52. We will continue with rain chances tomorrow and only a high of 57. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Gaina Trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
You know you want that smoky, tangy, sweet, and spicy sauced and tossed Wingstop. But you just brought a haul of groceries home from the store. It's cool. No one expects you to shop and cook in the same day. So let the flavor experts at Wingstop hook you up with mouth-watering wings, crispy tenders and thighs, fries and sides delivered to your door. You can always cook tomorrow. That's why the fridge was invented. Get it delivered at wingstop.com.
Order online now from the new Wingstop located at 5001 O Street.
Hi, I'm Dr. Rob Rhodes, a Nebraska family practice physician. Are you or someone you love at risk of an opioid overdose? Get the free OP Rescue app for your phone. OP Rescue can guide you through the steps of how to respond to an opioid overdose. Be OP ready. Download OP Rescue today.
Paid for by the CDC.
Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services and aired in cooperation with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Spring is here. Are you giving your yard the best chance at being healthy and green? Call Penner Sprinkler and Lawn to get your sprinklers ready to go for the season if they haven't been working properly. They're also scheduling installs for new sprinkler systems if you don't have one. So make sure you contact them early to get a bid as soon as possible. Plus, they're your one place to go for 5-step fertilizer and pesticide application and lawn aeration. Call Penner Sprinkler and Lawn today at 402-413-1215.
It's time to play Shootout with Strick. Call now, 464-5685, to take your shot against Eric Strickland. Shootout with Strick. Brought to you by Buffalo Wings and Rings.
Time to play the game!
It's all about Shootout with Strick here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's time for Shootout with Strick on the block, and we do have our contestant already called in on the Honda of Lincoln hotline during the break. Guys, if you want to play, I mean, it's competitive. You got to call. You got to call when I tell you to call, because Dave called in right away, and Dave is ready to play. Dave, the topic of today's trivia game is last night's Celtics versus Heat game. If you're not a Celtics fan, I don't know why you would watch too much of that. So it might be kind of tough trivia for you today. Did you watch any of the game?
I don't watch much of pro basketball, period, so this may be rough.
Yeah, it might be a little rough, but either way, it's either or, so it can't be too bad for you. And we'll see if Strick, did you watch that whole game?
I didn't watch the whole game because it was kind of a wrap for me. So I kind of used that as an opportunity to lay my head down on that pillow and take a nice dreamcast sleep.
Well, there you go. So maybe not too much of an advantage there for Strick. But we'll start with Strick before we go over to Dave, so Dave knows what score he has to get to. Strick, are you ready to play?
Let's go.
All right, we'll go in 3, 2, and 1. Who scored more points for the Heat in Game 4, Bam Adebayo or Jimmy Butler?
Bam Adebayo.
That is correct. Who had more assists for the Celtics in Game 4, Tatum or Horford?
Tatum.
Who led the Heat in field goal attempts in Game 4, Butler or Oladipo?
Oladipo.
That's correct. Who had most fouls for Celtics in Game 4, Pritchard or Jaylen Brown?
Jaylen Brown.
Okay, and who did the Celtics beat in the Eastern Conference semis to make it to the conference finals?
2, 1.
Miami.
It was actually the Bucks, so they're playing.
I can't hear you.
I know.
I'm hearing the. I'm hearing the. Who they play off? I'm like, I can't hear. So I guess.
Yeah, we are having a little bit of a connection issue. You did get 4 points for not being able to hear me, so that was pretty good. I was going to extend a few seconds there on the shot clock for you, but 4 points is pretty good. It might just beat Dave here. Dave, are you ready to go?
I guess.
Yeah, all right, we'll see how you do. All right, who had more points for the Celtics in Game 4, Jaylen Brown or Al Horford?
The last one.
That was actually the first one. Who had more assists in the Heat in Game 4, Victor Oladipo or Kyle Lowry?
The first one.
It was the first one. Who led the Celtics in field goal attempts in Game 4, Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown?
Jaylen Brown.
That is correct. And who had the most turnovers in for the Heat in Game 4, Kyle Lowry or Bam Adebayo?
The first one.
It was actually the second one. And who did the Heat beat in the Eastern Conference semis to make it to the conference finals?
I don't know. Sacramento.
Hey, at least you threw a team out there. It was actually the 76ers. If you would have got that, you would have tied. So that was a good attempt that you got it off before the break, but ultimately Strick, even with a little bit of connection issues, win 4-2 today. But Dave, thanks for calling in. You're not necessarily a loser. Hang up right now. Caller number 3 will actually win $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings. It could be Dave. It could be anybody. So Dave, hang up now. Call 402-464-5685, and caller number 3 will win $15 on behalf of Strick and for Buffalo Wings and Rings. So Strick, we obviously got to get to your shout out here.
Finish him. Flawless victory.
It was a very good performance from you today with the technical difficulties that you had to overcome. I think that's you're 2-0 on the week, so you're going for fire tomorrow. I'll have to mark that down, see if I can get He's on Fire ready for you in case you do get there. We'll take a quick break here on the block, and when we come back again, as we've mentioned earlier, coming up this next hour, Sean Callahan of Husker Online set to join us at 5:25, and plenty more still to discuss. Huskers add Marcus Washington from the portal. Do you expect Nebraska to use the portal heavily in future classes, or is this kind of more of a situational thing? Let us know what you think. Hit us up on the Starter Hammond text line 402-464-5685. Also, just kind of as a side note, are you looking forward to this portal thing kind of moving into the future? We've kind of seen, guys have cups of coffee, I suppose, with Nebraska basketball over the last several years. And it might be kind of similar in football with the portal. Do you like the familiarity of watching the players grow up in front of your eyes, or do you mind, all these hired guns that Nebraska is bringing in? Not necessarily hired by them, by the way. NIL does not deal with the University of Nebraska. That'll be coming up next year on the block on 93.7 The Ticket.
From selling a home to even building one, you're doing a lot and need a lender who can help you do it. Like Jennifer Peters of Security First Bank.
There are a lot of ways we can work to find the best fit for your situation. Let me help you explore your options.
Mortgage lending from Security First Bank. We're the bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 505011 and 616194.
You know you want that smoky, tangy, sweet, and spicy sauced and tossed Wingstop, but you just brought a haul of groceries home from the store. It's cool. No one expects you to shop and cook in the same day. So let the flavor experts at Wingstop hook you up with mouth-watering wings, crispy tenders and thighs, fries and sides delivered to your door. You can always cook tomorrow. That's why the fridge was invented. Get it delivered at wingstop.com.
Order online now from the new Wingstop, located at 5001 O Street.
Home water that's least right, smell right. Just call your water problem. 1111. Portland's air conditioning, heating, electrical, and plumbing.
Hey, Steve. Welcome to Great Clips. Great Clips asks, what's the difference between good, great?
Come on back and have a seat.
Good asks you what haircut you'd like.
I have all your details from last time. Would you like the same haircut today?
Great already knows. With Clip Notes, we save your haircut details so you can get the same thing as last time, every time. Download our online check-in app today. Great Clips. It's gonna be great.
Beatrice Bakery. They ship cakes all over the country. True story. But take a look inside their shop and you'd have no idea. This is a Nebraska product through and through. Not some massive production plant. Local people making delicious cake just for you. So go see them in their new storefront location in downtown Beatrice. Grab some grandma's fruit cake, some chocolate rum cake, or my favorite, the turtle nut cake. And say hi to Rick and the crew. Beatrice Bakery. Online at beatricebakery.com. Welcome to our world of yum.
There's nothing quite like the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese beef. The Mercado offers unique ingredients you can't find anywhere else, open every day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The full-service butcher shop and retail store is wonderful for meat lovers with their exclusive certified Piedmontese beef and assorted sausages, plus other quality meats, including pork, chicken, and a wide range of the freshest seafood. Plus, every Friday from 11 to 2, the Mercado serves up the best lunch in town on their Friday Feast menu. Stop in at the Mercado today at 84th and Havelock or visit their website at cpmercado.com to see current deals.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and it's been a great start here to the year as 2022 new inventory continues to roll in. Our pre-owned lot remains full, and we are selling at a record pace. I was just down at Koppel talking about a new order for myself, and they let me know I can actually start ordering a 2023 here later this spring. So stop on in to get your new 2022, your pre-owned vehicle, or maybe talk about ordering here for 2023. Check them out online at koppelcars.com. You'll be glad you did.
Hey, it's Nelson. Isn't it a great feeling when a company has your budget in mind instead of trying to squeeze it all out of you? That's why Caterpillar Vapes has been voted a fan favorite among premium e-juice, CBD, and Delta 8 customers year after year. And now they're here in Lincoln. Returning customers are always enjoying weekly deals and perks, and new Caterpillar Vapes customers get 50% off their entire entire first purchase. A company that cares about their customers. Crazy, right? In a hurry? Try the drive-thru. Caterpillar Vapes, 2601 North 11th Street, and online at caterpillarvapes.com.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by Security First Bank, a relationship you can count on.
Cloudy, cool, and damp conditions expected here for your Tuesday. Will top out only at around 55. Rain expected to move in by late this morning and last through much of the afternoon. Rain chances will continue tonight with a low of 52. We will continue with rain chances tomorrow and only a high of 57. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Tune in every Monday morning throughout the summer at 6:45 a.m. for golf course reviews on the Nebraska Golf Passport Early Break Golf Tour with Jake Sorensen and Steve Sipple on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is On the Block with Strick and Bach. Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland.
Strickland for three. And you're going to go out of here as the Big 8 tournament champion.
93.7 The Ticket veteran and Ortega connoisseur, Jake Bakoven.
I like Ortega and I like pepper.
Coming at you live from the Coppel Chevrolet GMC studios in the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Sponsored by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. This is On the Block with Strick and Bach. Hold up.
We are excited to be with you on the block here on a Tuesday. One final hour of radio for us for the day, and there's plenty to talk about and a few people to talk to. Of course, Eric Strickland, my co-host, as usual. I'm Jake Bakoven, and Sean Callahan will join us of Husker Online here in about 20 minutes. So a lot of Husker news to kind of catch up with him. He's one of the best sources for that, so I can't wait for that discussion. Also, a couple other things that we wanted to get to, but it seems like the biggest news of the day, and it was kind of coming over from last night. There's two separate Husker football stories, and the one is that the balloon release is dead. Trev Alberts announced the other day due to a helium shortage. Excuse me. They're no longer going to carry that on. Is it dead forever? Is it maybe going to come back if the helium returns? I'm not really sure, but they're working on different ideas to kind of replace that. So that's been a hot button topic here on the text line all day. Starting in text line 402-464-5685. And it's kind of hard to find the solution to that because I believe, with the balloons, it kind of made you feel as a fan as you were kind of part of that celebration, obviously. So how do they do that? Obviously keeping it cheap and avoiding the littering issues or cleanup issues that you would have going along with that. That's one of the topics, obviously. And then the other one is that Nebraska football is getting better by adding a wide receiver here in Marcus Washington from the portal. And the portal overall very interesting for Nebraska. Now their 16th player with Marcus Washington. For what it's worth, he's a 6'2", 191-pound wide receiver. Again, playing with the Texas Longhorns this previous couple years with Casey Thompson, for what's that worth. So he should have some sort of connection there. Originally from St. Louis, Missouri, caught 18 catches last year for 277 yards, 2 touchdowns, had a couple big games, 100 yards against Kansas, and including those 2 touchdowns, 70 yards against Baylor, 60 yards against Oklahoma State. So those were some of the better opponents that he showed out for. If you watch Casey Thompson film, it's kind of interesting. He's got a lot of different weapons that you would recognize if you're a Nebraska fan. And overall, I would just say to do it because you end up seeing his tape against Devin Drew against Texas Tech. You see O'Shawn Mathis out there. And then for Casey Thompson, every time he's got Bijan Robinson, one of the best running backs in the nation, Xavier Worthy, one of the best young wide receivers in the nation. Also, you can find, obviously, Marcus Washington, the new Nebraska wide receiver, and Joshua Moore, a former Nebraska recruit, commit that eventually steered the other way and went to Texas. Now is at SMU, I believe, because midway through last season, he got in a shouting match with his wide receivers coach. So they had their disagreements as well. But in any case, for Nebraska, Marcus Washington, I think, is being brought in to be compete for, one of those top 3 spots. I think a lot of people see Trey Palmer as kind of the breakout player of that position. Throw Marcus Washington in there. He could be that sort of impact type of guy. It gives you a little bit of additional size to go along with Omar Manning. Of course, Isaiah Garcia Castaneda, Alante Brown, Oliver Martin, Brody Belt. There's places where Nebraska is a little bit thin on their depth chart. Wide receiver is not one of them, yet to go out and get Marcus Washington. What do you see, Strick, out of Marcus Washington? Do you think that he is a starter? Do you think that they went out there and got a guy maybe similar to a Xavier Betts type of role that they're going to try to get, 400 or 500 yards out of?
And that's the way I viewed it. I looked at it from a standpoint of the loss of Xavier Betts, someone that has a similar kind of makeup, similar abilities, probably can stretch the field a little bit. It's got some good height. That's the way I viewed it, but he's still got to compete. You got to go out there and still show that you're, alpha 1, alpha 2, or beta 1, or whatever the case may be. Yeah. You got to still show that you're one of those, if you're out there Zeta or Omicron, you out there like that, you gonna be sitting and you probably gonna be mad and jump in the portal next year again. So, but I saw it from a point of him being and having connectivity with Casey. That there's nothing greater than having chemistry with a quarterback. And if you have chemistry with a quarterback and understanding what he likes and where he likes you to be, or if you're running a dig, how far he wants you to run, where does he want you to sit, what is his back shoulder throws like, what do they do? If you know those type of things and you kind of have a good understanding and a leg up on that, then you can do pretty well. And it's not necessarily that you're the best wide receiver in the bunch or you're the most gifted. There's for example, let's just go back to Tom Brady, right? Mm-hmm. Tom Brady over the years have had some great running wide receivers, had some average ones, but let's talk about this one in particular. Julian Edelman. Julian Edelman was a solid receiver, mid-tier basically. Made himself a Pro Bowler because of the chemistry he had with Tom Brady. They just had chemistry. He knew where he was going to be. He knew what Tom was looking for. They saw the same things with their eyes, and they were able to implement it, and he became just a great wide receiver because of the chemistry they had. He goes other places. He's still solid, but he's not who he was without Tom Brady. And I'm not saying that this is the simple, but I'm just trying to correlate the chemistry aspect and how important that can be between a wide receiver and a quarterback.
Yeah, it'll just be nice for Marcus Washington as he comes in to know somebody and somebody that he's interacted with, off the field too, can kind of develop that chemistry. I just think that this team's going to be, if it fails in the passing game, it's certainly not going to be from the wide receiver production. I don't want to get overboard. I think some people are kind of leaning into that direction, talking about how great the wide receiver unit is. I wouldn't say great. I mean, when you're looking at some of these guys' numbers, again, they're all solid. I think they've got a group of solid wide receivers looking for somebody to break out, right? Omar Manning had 380 yards last year. Trey Palmer had 344 yards. Marcus Washington had 277. Isaiah Garcia Castaneda, for what it's worth, playing at New Mexico State, had 578, more than any of them. Oliver Martin throwing in his 170. No, he was pretty banged up last year. So all these guys, I mean, these are all solid numbers, but I think that they can all, a lot of room to improve, and somebody's going to need to, for what it's worth. Even if you're looking at last year's production from the wide receiver unit, a lot of it was the big play threat from Samori Toure, more than 800 yards there. A lot of it was 600 plus yards from your all Big Ten tight end in Austin Allen. Travis Vokolek, those guys will still have a say in this offense. But that you're replacing a lot of yards there. And not only to me in replacing it is that you're going to expand upon that. I think there's going to be a lot more passing yards out there for this team in Mark Whipple's system with Casey Thompson, who's a flamethrower more so than a guy that's going to, run and be kind of the dual threat that Adrian Martinez was. So, there's going to be a lot of balls out there. And now I just feel like you've got, especially with the addition of Marcus Washington, you already felt pretty good about that. But with the additions that you've had with Marcus Washington, Trey Palmer, and Isaiah Garcia Castaneda, Then before you get to the freshmen and the DeCold's Crawford and those guys, you've even got like solid bench depth that you've had there before. Like Brody Belt has been said a very good player, and I think that he proved that he should be able to get on the field from time to time. Wyatt Lure is a guy that you forget about, and then again the younger guys and Camonte Grimes, Janarian Bonner, those type of names. They just, I think they have 11 scholarships now filled to wide receivers, and I think that partially dictates and tells you where they're going with this offense. Not to say that they don't have a lot of quarterbacks and running backs on the roster as well.
I think if you're going to see some drop off on the offensive end, you're probably going to see it at the running back position, and you may see one or two of those that have been there that may be just looking to get some playing time, right? That they won't waste their eligibility in this year. It'll start to become clear as you get into these workouts and these training sessions, and when depth charts are starting to formulate, and then discussions sitting down. Because let me be honest with you, I've had these types of discussions, and I believe these players will do also, where you're seeing kind of how things are going. You're still working, but you go in there and sit down with the coach, and you say, "Hey, coach, man, listen, I just want to be honest with you. What you thinking? How you feeling? What you think about me? Where do you see me fitting?" There's going to be those type of conversations that are going to have with those players that are not kind of have the swag, that are not playing with the confidence, that are kind of just, they're working their tail off, but they're not feeling it. They're not feeling the love. Maybe the coach isn't giving them attention, because when a coach is not feeling you when they're not talking to you. If they're talking to you and they're on you and they're like, "Hey man, look, we need you to step up." If they're yelling at you, see, a lot of players take that as a negative. But if you're a true player, you look at that and you say, he's really trying to help me, because he's feeling me. So that means I have an important role to play. So let me step up. If you're a real player, right?
Yeah.
The ones that need to worry are the ones that are just sitting there and he ain't saying nothing to you. So if
he doesn't
you're
see
real,
it out of you,
huh? Say
Because
what?
he doesn't see the potential out of you, as opposed to the guy he's pushing to get better, to make the team better.
When you have that kind of depth, when you have that many people in a room, you don't have time to focus on everybody in the room. You're going to focus on the ones that you're kind of projecting, or you're seeing, or you're developing. And every now and then on the fringe, you might see something, but there's really nothing outside of workouts, training, different things to really raise the eyebrow, unless Casey Thompson in the practices or in those sessions is feeling you. That's when you kind of say, you can see something. But outside of that, if he's not talking to you, that means that there's trouble. There's trouble.
Yeah.
And so I can see that somebody in the running back room, somebody, and it's probably going to be players that have already been there, because the new coaches are establishing new rules and they're establishing new connections. And so the connections that you once had, or you thought you had, or you had in previous time or years or months, that's no longer there. It's been a reestablishment. And so once you're not seeing that happen, then you're probably if you want to play, you probably might want to make another move, especially if you don't have enough time to stay the course where you're at.
Yeah, and speaking of time, I think Marcus Washington still has 2 years left to play. A lot of this, the roster reshape and is kind of crazy, because there are guys, Casey Thompson kind of feels like he wants to be here 1 year and go off to the NFL. O'Shawn Mathis certainly wants to do that. But I think it was Nick that said they had, and it's somewhere close to this number, I didn't look it up, but Nick was saying that they had 10 scholarship seniors coming up on this season. So as we all kind of look into that 1 year rebuild, and this needs to get fixed now. It's true, because of the previous record that, they kind of put together for this, and which has orchestrated this whole makeover and just throwing all these guys and hoping that some of them kind of hit big. But it's really somewhat of a younger team, especially with experience as far as playing with one another for sure. But playing all together, you've got you've got enough experience, mostly outside of the secondary, I suppose. with on the team on the 2 deep, but it's basically a whole team that if it wants to, if it can, will be coming back the next season. So that'll be something to kind of watch for if they do get things rolling this coming season, is that you could project this to 2023 and think, hey man, they really are going to be able to put this together for quite some time. So that's something to look out for. Also, I'm interested, because Nebraska's got 16 now portal additions in the offseason. That's right up there with the most in the nation. I think Southern Cal has 19. There's a few other teams up there, but it's not. I mean, there a lot of different schools are kind of taking different looks at this. Georgia, the defending champions, have 0 transfer portal additions. Iowa in the Big Ten has 1, and that's not surprising given Iowa's brand. Nebraska, I think, leads the Big Ten with 16, but they're not like an outlier necessarily. Maybe to have quite that many, but as far as 10 plus transfer portal additions to your team, more than 40 teams across the country have that, according to my count. And some of those are, Jackson States and Liberties that aren't quite, Division I, but most of those teams being Division I's. So this is kind of the question there that I have for people out there is, obviously, granted, if there's 10 seniors next year and all that stuff, a lot of this does, come up to what's kind of open out there. But is this what you expect out of Nebraska? Is this transfer portal kind of be, this heavy of type of classes, fill your holes this way, use your NIL advantages that you have to get plug and play players rather than recruiting freshmen and, guys that will be freshmen and hoping they're the next big thing. I could see this, Nebraska with what it's got in its NIL opportunities. And as long as this kind of world sticks somewhat similar, there's going to be changes, there's going to be guardrails, but I think NIL and transfer portal are somewhat here to stay. I think Nebraska would be a heavy player in this moving forward in this, maybe not 16, but around 10 guys a year out of the transfer portal. Do you think that that's a sustainable format for Nebraska, or is that kind of, teams in the past have been criticized for taking too many JUCO guys, and so you don't have enough, too much roster turnover?
I don't want that to be the case, Bach. I think if you're smart, if you're a smart staff, you use this as an opportunity to build and feel, right? Let me just say it this way: feel and build. So you fill the voids, you build off of that, and then now you grow up all of your. So, for example, if you're in a food shortage, right, it's going to take time in order to grow the food, right? So if you're planting in your garden, you've planted your seeds, you're waiting on them to germinate. You're watering them, you're seasoning them, you're making sure that they're getting the nourishment they need. That's your foundation. Your fill positions, like you're doing right now, is to basically feed you now because you need to eat, right? You can't wait until it germinates and it grows and it matures and it's ready. You can't wait. So you have to do that part. And they did it in a good way because not everybody is a one and gone. So they still have some abilities to stay the course. Some may be projecting, your old Sean Mathis's maybe, are projecting that way, but they've got to perform. But if they don't perform, you still got them, right? To come back and do it again. So that's why I say you don't stay in the portal. You use this to do what they did, mature and grow your foundation. And then maybe in 2 to 3 years, you jump into the portal and do what you said. Grab 6, grab 7. You know what I'm saying? Grab 5.
Yeah.
But you don't want to get to this number. If you have to get to 15, 16 again, it's no bueno. But they're doing that because they need to eat. They need some maturity to eat. And that's why you see them going into the portal the way they went into the portal. That's why I think it has to be that way. But it can't be a movement. It can't be something that's consistent that they do every year. It just can't happen. They need to use it as a way to allow their food to grow that they planted.
Yeah, because you think about it, if you were to do this year in and year out, what's the benefit of any freshman committing to you? You're just going to recruit over them, as hard as they work until they kind of get on. So it'd be hard to get playing time out there on the field. At the same time, man, has this been, and again, it's situational, but this is crazy. I mean, they've been able to fill all those depth holes very well. You would think, what would this team look like without the transfer portal? You'd have a few JUCOs. You might be able to get a guy that transferred in last year, but man, this is a complete different team, and it's getting to the point again where it's enough additions that it's like, throw the 3-9 team out the door, basically throw the whole year out the door. This is a complete new year, a brand new team, a lot of impressive additions in the coaching staff, in obviously the talent on the field. I just don't think there's a whole lot that correlates to last year, obviously, other than, certain worries that you have maybe on the offensive line in certain positions like that. But let's take a break here on the block. And when we come back, we'll be ready to welcome in Sean Callahan of Husker Online. We'll ask him some of these questions, break things down with the latest Husker news with Sean Callahan coming up next here on the block on 93.7 The Ticket.
This is your High School Minute.
With your Southeast Community College High School Minute, I'm Gus Cottle. A.J. Tauber hit a walk-off home run in the bottom of the 7th inning as the Wildcats defeated Millard South 11-10 in the Class A title game on Thursday at Tal Anderson Field for the school's second state championship in the last 3 seasons. Just their second season as a varsity program, Elkhorn North was able to win the Class B baseball championship. Starting pitcher Colin Noizak struck out 10 batters and allowed just 2 hits as his complete game effort led Elkhorn North to a 2-0 win over Waverly for the team's first state championship. Jalen Lloyd of Omaha Central captured the boys' all-class win in the 100-meter dash and the triple jump. Dejaj DeFrand of Lincoln High won the girls' all-class at the track and field state championships in the 100 and 200-meter dash. This has been your Southeast Community College High School Minute. Learn more today at southeast.edu with locations in Lincoln, Beatrice, and Milford.
There's nothing quite like the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese beef. The Mercado offers unique ingredients you can't find anywhere else, open every day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The full-service butcher shop and retail store is wonderful for meat lovers with their exclusive certified Piedmontese beef and assorted sausages, plus other quality meats, including pork, chicken, and a wide range of the freshest seafood. Plus, every Friday from 11 to 2, the Mercado serves up the best lunch in town on their Friday Feast menu. Stop in at the Mercado today at 84th and Havelock or visit their website at cpmercado.com to see current deals.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Cloudy, cool, and damp conditions expected here for your Tuesday. We'll top out only at around 55. Rain expected to move in by late this morning and last through much of the afternoon. Rain chances will continue tonight with a low of 52. We will continue with rain chances tomorrow and only a high of 57. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hey, it's Bach. Join me and Eric Strickland this Thursday at the brand new Double Eagle Golf Simulator Bar on West O Street inside the Kinetic Sports Complex from 3 to 6 p.m. That's this Thursday at Double Eagle Golf inside the Kinetic Sports Complex on West O Street.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and wait 30 days after winning a prize before participating in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 330 North 48th Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
Work, laundry, dishes. I was exhausted. I needed a vacation, but finding a way to pay for it, not so easy. Then I found it, a research study at Solarion. I searched the studies and found a perfect match for me. It was so easy. I earned cash for the study and booked that vacation. Plus, I made an impact on medical research. Find a study and sign up today at helpresearch.com.
You should consider the risks of the research before you agree to participate.
Beatrice Bakery. They ship cakes all over the country. True story. But take a look inside their shop and you'd have no idea. This is a Nebraska product through and through. Not some massive production plant. Local people making delicious cake just for you. So go see them in their new storefront location in downtown Beatrice. Grab some grandma's fruit cake, some chocolate rum cake, or my favorite, the turtle nut cake. And say hi to Rick and the crew. Beatrice Bakery. Online at beatricebakery.com. Welcome to our world of yum.
Hey, it's Nelson. We all know life gets a little hectic. You're just looking for that right amount of balance for stress relief with your busy lifestyle while trying to not break the bank. That's why you got to stop by the newest Caterpillar Vapes location right here in Lincoln, 2601 North 11th Street. The Caterpillar team is made up of people just like you, wanting the best product at the best price. They can walk you through the largest selection in town, answer any questions, and find you that perfect balance. First-time customers get 50% off their entire purchase. Stop in and see for yourself. For more, find them on Facebook or online at CaterpillarVapes.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Rob Rhodes, a Nebraska family practice physician. Are you or someone you love at risk of an opioid overdose? Get the free Opie Rescue app for your phone. Opie Rescue can guide you through the steps of how to respond to an opioid overdose. Be Opie ready. Download Opie Rescue today.
Paid for by the CDC. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services and aired in cooperation with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Back to On the Block with Strick and Bach on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We're back here on the block on a Tuesday for you. Myself, Jake Balkovin, and Eric Strickland. And we are also excited to bring in Sean Callahan of Husker Online. There's a lot of Husker news going on the last couple of days, so we're going to break it down with Sean. Sean, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Just kids' last day of school here, so kind of crazy times in the Callahan house today.
Oh yeah, that's always exciting. Summer break, just around the corner. Maybe a little bit of a sunnier day would have maybe set the mood a little bit better, but the rain goes on and so forth and so on, I suppose. But the biggest news, I think, for Nebraska fans, at least for traditionalists, is no more balloon release for Nebraska this upcoming year due to helium shortage. Do you believe that this is a temporary thing, or do you think, with the environmental concerns and all that, that this might be the end of the balloon release for quite some time?
It's really hard to say. I mean, Nebraska fans. I mean, I don't know, are they going to prohibit them from anybody to being brought in the stadium is the question I have. Because, what's to stop, a group of people to say, you know what, we're going to create a GoFundMe to buy balloons every game. And, there's going to be people that maybe want to keep that tradition going, and they'll be able to spend whatever $5,000 or $10,000 or whatever amount of dollars they need to buy these balloons.
Yeah, that's certainly. I could see that happening. We actually got a bag of balloons here at the ticket that we're kind of thinking maybe we could be those people. I don't know if we're going to spend quite that much money, but
well, yeah, you know what I'm saying though. I think people, if they're still allowed to be brought in the stadium, I just know Nebraska fans well enough to know that there's going to be somebody that tries to organize an effort to have some balloons back in there. And how many balloons was Nebraska buying? I don't know what those numbers were. How much were they spending? As we know, it was not a money thing. It was more a thing with the environmental thing and obviously the shortage of helium going on right now.
Yeah. And then to kind of play off of that, obviously I want to be the first one to ask you, because we ask you every year, just about the sellout streak. And because I was kind of talking about it the other day, and it just feels like, I know we've been saying over the year, it's kind of lost its punch or its luster, kind of even just talking about it anymore. I don't think that there's necessarily too big of a concern with it. I know they got those 3-game package deals coming out again, but do you kind of feel like even that discussion has kind of lost its luster, because there's not really arguing where Nebraska football has fallen off?
No, I mean, the sellout streak, they're at 92% renewal. There's no other team or fan base in the world that would have that type of renewal rate at the size of a Memorial Stadium for the amount of losing seasons they have in a row. So the fact that they're even in this discussion with a losing season every year since 2017 is remarkable. I mean, we're not having this discussion anywhere else in the world about, the sellout streak. And, with COVID and other things, we saw a lot of these things come to an end. Ohio State, they don't have one anymore. Notre Dame's came to an end. So they're really, sellouts aren't as common as they used to be. Alabama doesn't sell out every game, but it's obviously very unique to Nebraska. I mean, you talk about the data, we're the smallest populated state along with West Virginia in the Power 5. And, you add up the data on the size of Memorial Stadium, you're looking at close to 1 in 20 people in the state's population is in that stadium on a Husker football Saturday, which is, tell me anywhere else in the world that's happening. I still think it's really remarkable they're at where they're at. I give Trev and his team a lot of credit for figuring out creative ways to try to keep this thing going, whether it's the 3-game ticket plan, the red carpet experience, other things. And Trev came out in so many words and said that, they've had boosters buying tickets over the years that when they had some return tickets from opponents and other things. So they've done this before, but they were much more transparent about it now, and they've created the red carpet program. So I would not be surprised at all if the streak continued again this year. And it's a little bit weaker of a home slate. Oklahoma is the only real big home game along with Wisconsin. Then, you got Minnesota on there and some other ones. But it's not as good of a, slate of home games as maybe we have seen in previous years.
Hey, Sean, Eric Strickland here, man. Listen, thanks for joining us on the block. Have a quick question. We don't know for sure if it's been signed or it's been completed, but it looks like there's a projection out there that Marcus Washington's going to show up potentially in the wide receiver group here at Nebraska. For me, I've been throwing out there, but I would love your perspective because you definitely have the ear of the inside and what's going on and how things are happening. But with him, for me, it seems like if I was a receiver like that who played a little bit with Texas with Casey Thompson, that chemistry is an important part of that. How do you view that in the decision making of potentially coming and having chemistry with a quarterback that you can get the job done for you?
Yeah, they've been around for 3 years at Texas together, so they know each other well. Marcus Washington played 434 snaps for the Huskers or for Texas last year. When you kind of break that data down, of all Nebraska's returning wideouts, Omar Manning has played the most at 415. So you're bringing a guy that's played a lot of Power 5 football. He was a Rivals top 250 4-star recruit out of St. Louis Trinity Catholic. He was visited Nebraska at one time as a high school kid. So there's some familiarity with Nebraska as well. But it's just, to me, the bigger picture is the overhaul of this receiver room with Trey Palmer, 389 snaps at LSU last year, Isaiah Garcia Castaneda, 433 snaps at New Mexico State, with Omar Manning, with Oliver Martin, with Alante Brown. I mean, they've really made this room over. And let's not forget about some of the freshmen coming in. DeColdis Crawford's a talented guy, but Janira and Bonner, they really think could push for playing time too. So Mickey Joseph has done an excellent job, and he obviously had to stamp up on this move because they didn't necessarily need another wideout. So they had to kind of talk this one through. I think there are a few angles. The Thompson connection, he's a St. Louis guy. Nebraska has had very bad luck in St. Louis in recruiting really for the last 10 years or more. So there's a lot of angles that came into play here, but they made the decision to kind of move forward with it this afternoon.
And they are like 3 scholarships over right now, and usually that stuff naturally plays out. Do you think that Nebraska might be in a similar position to what we've seen BYU do, and basically if they are over and need a couple spots, maybe you can use the NIL to basically pay scholarships for walk-ons?
Yeah, I don't know if that's possible. Like, it's just so you got to be transparent, and that could get flagged by your compliance if you're doing that. I mean, what you're going to probably see more than likely are some guys, whether they're injured, go on medical scholarship. You may also see a guy graduate or move on here, but it will play itself out. I mean, the 3 or 4 more guys will move on here, and that will take care of itself here in the coming months.
Okay. Also, with the transfer portal, it's kind of interesting because Nebraska's got 16 guys, and it seems like, that's kind of situational. They needed a facelift and all that, but with their NIL that they're able to kind of throw out there in the transfer portal, if it kind of stays like this moving into the future, do you see them being like heavy players? Like, there's a lot of programs out there getting, 10 guys, 10 or more guys. Do you think that this is a long-term strategy that should be used for Nebraska, or do you think this is very situational for this season?
I mean, you got to look at it like a stock portfolio. You've got to have a mixture of everything in it. You've got to have high school players. You got to have JUCO guys. You got to have transfer portal guys. The question is, what's the blend that you want to go with? This year, it's 15 portal guys, it's 15 high school guys, and 3 JUCO guys. So, you talk about the 33 guys you're bringing in. 18 of the 33 are JUCO or transfer, which is a astoundingly high number. I mean, this thing's either going to make Scott Frost look like a genius and they're going to get it going, or, it's a gamble. It could blow up. So there's a lot of risk when you kind of turn your locker room over. I mean, you have 85 scholarships and you're bringing in 33 new guys. That's the most ever Nebraska's brought in 1 year in the 85 scholarship era.
Wow. And obviously, the change here at Nebraska is overwhelming. The change in college football is hard to predict and quite overwhelming itself. Mainly for, looking at the Big Ten, they're moving toward, I should say, getting rid of divisions. Do you think that will benefit or hurt Nebraska in the long run?
Yeah, I think when you talk about the divisions in the Big Ten, it's inevitable they're going to go away. Everyone's getting rid of them. The NCAA no longer requires conferences with 12 or more teams to have divisions. I think everything now is going to be about getting multiple bids into a 12-team college football playoff, assuming the direction it goes. And the Big Ten is going to be awfully creative and flexible to make sure they can get 2 or 3 teams in this playoff every year.
That's good. One other question I have, Sean. Obviously, the men have done terrible from the fall to the winter and then all the way up to the spring. But the women have seemed to have been on fire. Now, we give kudos to the women and how well they've got the job done for Nebraska sports. But in your eyes, as you look now over the whole landscape, we've talked about this on the block yesterday. Which team or which sport do you think would be the one that has the best opportunity to turn it around that you would guess?
It has to be football. I mean, you look at the schedule, just go on the Vegas over and unders. I mean, the data doesn't lie. Nebraska right now, when you look at their first 9 games of the schedule, they only have one team on the first 9 on the Vegas over unders right now that has a higher over under than 6.5. That's Oklahoma at 9.5. So you look at just the data on people that make money, having people put bets on this stuff. Nebraska's first 9 games is extremely favorable, where they're only going to have 2 games on that first 9 of teams that will qualify for a bowl game.
And Sean, one final question for you here as we wrap things up. One of my favorite debates, and we won't know until the season goes on, but we can argue about it. Which team do you think is more talented? Last year's team, which obviously had the second round draft picks and the All-American and JoJo and tied into the year and all that, or this upcoming team which is just bringing in a lot of different guys? Obviously, you didn't have an O'Shawn Mathis last year. Which team do you think is more talented?
Yeah, that's a great debate because there's talent, there's depth, and there's athletic ability. There's different conversations you can have. Like, I think the secondary has more athletic ability and potential than it did a year ago. But you're losing so much experience. So until you see it come together, and I do think the schedule matters. I mean, if they can string off a win at Northwest, the win in Ireland, and then go 3-0 going into Oklahoma, the momentum alone could help grow this team at a different way than we saw a year ago, where Nebraska last year lost to Illinois, and that just destroyed their entire season at that point. When they beat Buffalo and Fordham, everybody was still mad about the Illinois loss. So I'll say this 100 times on this station over the next 100 days. They've got to win the game in Ireland, period. If they lose that game in Ireland, the conversations about Frost's future will begin immediately. The conversations about the season and the direction it's going to go will begin immediately. If they win that game, they should be 3-0 and win 3 games in a row for the first time since 2016. Scott Frost has never won 3-0. Nebraska's never been 3-0 since 2016 to start a year. And then all of a sudden that Oklahoma game becomes the biggest home game Nebraska's had in a number of years.
Yeah, that's going to be fascinating, and it's crazy that game in Ireland is so much hinges on it. We said that last year about the Week 0 game in Illinois, and that it turned out to be true. It seemed like so. Thanks again, Sean, for joining us today, and have a fun summer ahead of yourself.
Hey, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, there you go. Sean Callahan of Husker Online. Like you said, I mean, the gravity of that Northwestern game can't be understated, especially, and a lot of people just want to look over it, say, Northwestern's not very good and all that. But Nebraska kind of played down to competition, certainly played up to competition last year too. And then, the other thing is last year, this year's team's completely different. But I can't wait to kind of see how that unfolds. And I don't think it's completely fair for what it's worth either. I think that the team, they should have some time to mesh, some time to gel, the new offensive staff, all that. But unfortunately, in the situation they're in, you don't get so much leeway time. So we'll kind of see how all that plays out. We're going to take one final break here on the block. When we come back, still a little bit to talk about. Again, Lat Mayan moving on. We're going pro in Australia. So Nebraska basketball closer. They're just one scholarship over, and Trey McGowan's is the one that hasn't announced yet. So perhaps that's the next move. We'll talk about that and break down a few more things in the sports world when we return here on the block on 93.7 The Ticket.
Work, laundry, dishes. I was exhausted. I needed a vacation, but finding a way to pay for it, not so easy. Then I found it, a research study at Solarion. I searched the studies and found a perfect match for me. It was so easy. I earned cash for the study and booked that vacation. Plus, I made an impact on medical research. Find a study and sign up today at helpresearch.com.
You should consider the risks of the research before you agree to participate.
There's nothing quite like the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese beef. The Mercado offers unique ingredients you can't find anywhere else, open every day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The full-service butcher shop and retail store is wonderful for meat lovers with their exclusive certified Piedmontese beef and assorted sausages, plus other quality meats, including pork, chicken, and a wide range of the freshest. Plus, every Friday from 11 to 2, the Mercado serves up the best lunch in town on their Friday Feast menu. Stop in at the Mercado today at 84th and Havelock, or visit their website at cpmercado.com to see current deals.
Sandhills Global is hiring. Check out sandhills.jobs for more information. Sandhills is looking to fill hundreds of new openings in sales, traveling support, software development, web design, and more. Sandhills has a professional culture and is fast-paced with a focus on growth, innovation, and leading-edge technologies. Career and internship opportunities are available at our global headquarters in Lincoln, Nebraska. Apply today at sandhills.jobs.
93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Cloudy, cool, and damp conditions expected here for your Tuesday. We'll top out only at around 55. Rain expected to move in by late this morning and last through much of the afternoon. Rain chances will continue tonight with a low of 52. We will continue with rain chances tomorrow and only a high of 57. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hey, it's Bach. Join me and Eric Strickland this Thursday at the brand new Double Eagle Golf Simulator Bar on West O Street inside the Kinetic Sports Complex from 3 to 6 p.m. That's this Thursday at Double Eagle Golf inside the Kinetic Sports Complex on West O Street.
You know you want that smoky, tangy, sweet, and spicy sauced and tossed Wingstop. But you just brought a haul of groceries home from the store. It's cool. No one expects you to shop and cook in the same day. So let the flavor experts at Wingstop hook you up with mouth-watering wings, crispy tenders and thighs, fries and sides delivered to your door. You can always cook tomorrow. That's why the fridge was invented. Get it delivered at wingstop.com.
Order online now from the new Wingstop located at 5001 O Street.
Let's do it. Let's get away. Let's go outside, cast a line, and reel in good times with our family and friends. Get a little peace, quiet, and relaxation, and make some memories that will last a lifetime. Let's do it. Let's Fish Nebraska. Start planning your fishing trip today at letsfishnebraska.com. Sponsored by Nebraska Game and Parks. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Beatrice Bakery, They ship cakes all over the country. True story. But take a look inside their shop and you'd have no idea. This is a Nebraska product through and through. Not some massive production plant. Local people making delicious cake just for you. So go see them in their new storefront location in downtown Beatrice. Grab some grandma's fruit cake, some chocolate rum cake, or my favorite, the turtle nut cake. And say hi to Rick and the crew. Beatrice Bakery. Online at beatricebakery.com. Welcome to our world of yum.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and it's been a great start here to the year as 2022 new inventory continues to roll in. Our pre-owned lot remains full, and we are selling at a record pace. I was just down at Koppel talking about a new order for myself, and they let me know I can actually start ordering a 2023 here later this spring. So stop on in to get your new 2022, your pre-owned vehicle, or maybe talk about ordering here for 2023. Check them out online at koppelcars.com. You'll be glad you did.
Back to On the Block with Strick and Bach on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
It's Tuesday.
We're here wrapping things up for you on a Tuesday. I know this is one of Strick's favorite rejoins as we get going. There's some good news to report, some bad news, I suppose. Creighton's Baylor Shireman will withdraw from the 2002 NBA draft and return to school. This is per his agent, Austin Walton. So, as expected, Baylor Shireman will be part of Creighton. Yeah, but, there was maybe that slight hope that maybe Creighton would get their big transfer.
No, he wasn't ready. I knew he was back.
Yeah, and so that will continue to make Creighton one of the top 5 teams probably coming into the nation next year, at least top 10, and will be pretty hard for Nebraska fans to stop, I guess they make their run. But, hey, maybe Nebraska can get the upset next year. That make you feel a little bit better. Speaking of Nebraska basketball,
that would make me feel better, Bach, especially me being in Lincoln, because I'm throwing TVs and chairs. I'm Bobby Knighton all the court at PBA. I'm Bobby Knighton if I see that foolishness happen again.
They might not let you back in. I mean, they might not let you back into PBA if you do that.
That's all right. I'll just watch from afar.
That's right. Statement will have been made. Also, Lat Mayen not going to return to Nebraska. He's made it official as he's made his professional debut, scoring 20 points actually in 25 minutes of play with the Cairns Marlins back in his home of Australia. Expected, I guess, because Nebraska was 2 over the scholarship. The expectation, I suppose, is for Trey McGowens to do the same. We just haven't heard anything official on that front yet. It kind of ends a little bit of a run for those guys. Derek White obviously returning among that group that came in, but it continues the lack of continuity. That's what it continues, the lack of continuity for Nebraska basketball. But in this case, I'm not sure if it hurts you too much. I always thought Lat played like a too much. I think if he was like your second or third guy off the bench, that would have been kind of suitable for him. But they were kind of, they didn't have the big men, so they kind of just forced him into his role.
Yeah, I think Trey will end up in the G League.
Yeah.
I think Lat will do well internationally just because of his frame and his style of play. He'll just be able to relax, live, make some money, and play. I think he'll have a solid career overseas. And I think Trey will end up in the G League for a good amount of years, maybe 3-4 years, and then he may break through. If he's able to tighten up his shooting with consistency, he'll break through. But other than that, I think he'll be a G League or overseas guy for his career. I'm still interested to hear. I haven't heard nothing about Bryce out there. There's been nothing that's been like spark conversations. But I was watching some workouts, Bach, and I was talking to a buddy of mine that has been around me since I played in the league, and we were watching those workouts. I said, this is the thing that kids don't understand if you don't have good mentorship or you don't have somebody really in your ear. Because, it was boom, set a screen, roll, dunk, go out, shoot a jumper, boom, come back out, face up. And I'm talking it's consistent like that for 15, 20 minutes with nobody else but you. You know what I'm saying?
On the court,
that if you don't have nobody, if you have people just bumping their gums and telling you what you want, what you think they want you to hear, then you're gonna go in there and you just think it's gonna be just like you going to the gym and you're just working on stuff. No, sir. You're gonna be dead tired, probably throwing up in the wastebasket, and you're gonna look terrible because you ain't gonna have no legs. And that was the problem I had with Bryce when he was there, was his leg strength. Because when he got tired, his jumpers were always short. And then now you got to shoot with range with leg strength. That's why I said I thought it should have been good for him to come back one more year, get stronger. Because you're playing 30-some games, my boy. Are 80?
Yeah.
You better be strong and ready for that. That's not just something you just can't turn that on, man. And that was what was a blessing for me. I was ready for it. Because when I went into my camps, I was 3-day workouts from morning to evening by myself. So if you don't have that discipline, bro, it's one of those things that, and I haven't heard much out of him. I haven't heard like, hey, be watching out for this Bryce McGowan's kid, or I've heard other people, but I haven't heard him yet.
Yeah, and we'll see as the obviously I think the draft's in June. So you maybe get a little bit more noise once it gets close to there. He's been projected again. It's kind of the same range we've been talking about all along, back into the first round, maybe there as high as 20 or so, and then obviously into the second round. With the second round, there's no guaranteed contracts, and so you're really gonna have to fight what's there. He does have a lot of upside, so that's obviously a big deal for the NBA as they're looking forward, but. Basically anybody that you draft at that point is going to have a lot of upside. So there's a lot of those guys in the league. So
and upside's relative. That's relative. Upside's relative to wherever you're placed, right? For Kawhi Leonard, upside was being placed with the Spurs, which was the perfect team for him at that right time. Upside is Draymond Green going to Golden State at the right time under a coach that understands that type of system that he wanted to implement in Mark Jackson, right? So it's really relative as to who you end up with and what they think of you. Sometimes you're a body filler, or you're just a guy they're going to throw in the G League and they're just going to watch and monitor. But then you always got to realize you're not just playing for yourself, you're also playing for 32 teams. So even when you're playing G League games, you're just not playing for the team that you're on. You're playing for all the other teams. So if you can just maintain that mentality, Bach, then you'll be all right. If not, you get frustrated and you get, kind of down on yourself, or your confidence begins to wane, or your work ethic wanes because it's not falling into place the way you thought, or your ego is kind of splintered, then you're going to be in trouble.
And obviously the NBA is getting close to wrapping up. Obviously, you still got the conference finals wrapping up possibly tonight, as far as the Western Conference Finals. But as we go into the offseason, one of the big fishes was expected to be Bradley Beal. Maybe still could be, but the latest reports is he's leaning toward the max extension with Washington. For his age, he is always kind of the Robin with John Wall there. But now it's had a few years being Batman, right? Being the guy in Washington. Do you think that's a wise decision? Perhaps most of the money is going to be made there with the max contract extension. But as far as for Bradley Beal, do you think that's good to keep building around himself in Washington? Or do you want to see him do what a lot of people do these days, which go join a super team and start something there?
It comes a time. The only one that I've been most surprised about was Dame Lillard. I thought Dame had tremendous opportunities to bounce, and it just seemed like it was always something that was happening up there that wasn't making it work. If you get to an age where you start looking around and you're like, where is it going to be where I got the best chance? It's not always then becomes about the money, but to some people, it's all about the money. And if you're going to be frustrated with those type of systems, then you take the money and go into the great good night and live out for a ranch somewhere if you want to do that, but some people want that chip, because that's what you do. As I think Tony Dungy, what's Herm Edwards said, you play to win the game. You play to win ships. You don't play just to play the game. You want ships. Yeah. You want what they're doing right now. You want to be able to play in those games like they're confident. There's nothing like it, man. There's nothing like a conference championship or a finals. There's nothing like that atmosphere. And if you don't get a chance to experience that, and you're just one round in the playoffs, and the money gets good. People buy properties off the bonus money that you get in the playoffs.
Oh, do you really? You give pretty good conference finals bonuses. Well, that's pretty cool.
If you win it, if you're winning, if you lose, you're still good. If you lose, you can buy a nice little car. You know,
yeah,
you can put a down payment on a house, but if you win it, you can buy a property.
And I'm also always fascinated by like the like Cleveland, what they did with Tristan Thompson, or like if you're kind of a role player and it was important in that championship run for you to be a part of it, but maybe you're not the reason that you won. You can get paid pretty handsomely for that because it's almost just like you don't want to mix up the ingredients, so you'll overpay for your current role players to keep them involved, and a lot of times it doesn't work out for the organization.
You want to know who hit the lottery on that before we get out of here?
Who's that?
Guy by the name of Austin Crozier with the Lakers had one good playoff series and hit for like 70-80 million or something like that.
I do like Austin Crozier back in the day. Maybe just that playoff run, but anyway, at least he had fun with it. As we close out here, we're going to do it without any music because I mean, not that I've been avoiding it. It's just hard to kind of move on from, of course, the school shooting today in Texas. Very sad situation. So just want to say our thoughts and prayers are obviously there for that. And another tough day here in the United States with another school shooting. But obviously, again, I'm not a wordsmith, and I think sports radio is a good way to kind of get away from the world's problems, but sometimes they should at least be mentioned, and so I did want to do that to close out the show here. We will be back though tomorrow for On the Block, and I believe Ticket Weeknights will be coming up next. So have a good weeknight here, and we'll be back with some more sports news for you on the block coming, but tomorrow. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey dude, can I have the aux cord?
Yeah, sure.